everyone. James Odle here with Sarah Stern as part of our next Tricon interview. Real quick, have you guys go check out Sorta My Podcast as well as our other interviews over on the Subject to Change YouTube and SoundCloud page, as well as check out Sorta My Comics for your nerd news every day on Facebook. You can find Sarah at Tricon in Huntington, West Virginia on June 2nd. Tickets are $10 a person. Kids 10 and under get in free. So Sarah, first I'd like to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me for this interview.
Of course. Thanks for having me, James.
So one of the first questions I like to ask is, what was one of the first comics you remember getting into as a kid?
I was one of those unfortunate people that was kind of told that comics were a boy thing, so I would skim, some X-Men and not really get that into it. I do remember buying a ton of Archie comics and just, hoarding them from my card shop when I'd go and get, Pokemon cards. I couldn't tell you one in particular, but I definitely had a big old stack. I got more into, manga and Shonen Jump and stuff in middle school.
Okay. Well, through all of the different stuff that you've read, what were some of the characters that you really grew to connect with? Some of your favorite characters through the years?
Oh boy, that's a very broad question. Can you narrow that down at all? It's hard to pick favorites because there's thousands and thousands of them. Who's your favorite guy? Is it Sonic? It's Sonic, right? It's Sonic the Hedgehog. No, I'm contemporarily or growing up or Silver Age, what?
Okay, as a kid and now.
I mean, I didn't really religiously follow comics growing up. I would read manga that my friends would pass around. I really liked Naruto is what I'm trying to dance around saying.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoyed it as well. I've never really branched into, reading a lot of it. I can't really attest to going deep into the pages of Naruto, but I have watched a good bit of the show, and I've always enjoyed that. So I know some people consider that blasphemy.
It's not the best comic that's ever been made because that's, a super debatable, I don't know, man, I really loved Full Metal Alchemist when I was in high school. You just kind of pick something to be, you're into something for a period of time, and then you read different things, and you continue to like other things. I don't know, I think, favorite as a paradigm is, a weird place to stick at.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I really liked... That. Yeah, I like comics that have good stories, and the art is good.
Fair enough.
I mostly just read, YA fiction, fantasy junk when I was a kid.
So, when did you really notice yourself getting more and more into drawing and art and everything else?
Oh, that one's easy. I feel like artists are usually people who, most people draw as kids. It's something you're encouraged to do, and it's a fun activity, and most artists are people who never learned how to stop doing that. I drew a lot, when I was a kid, when I was in school, and enough people encouraged me and said that it looked good, that I kept doing it for approval, and eventually I was doing it for fun. In high school, I taught myself how to use, a pen tablet and Photoshop, and this is probably oh gosh, I think it was the first, it was one with the green feather. It was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I got my mom to get me a cheap little bamboo, and I read a lot of tutorials. Ian Jones-Cordy, who now is doing, and I really like it too. Okay, it's OK KO. I keep confusing it with Super Pro KO from Jarrett, but sorry. Ian Jones-Cordy, who's now, he worked on Steven Universe, and he's now doing OK KO, the cartoons. He used to do a webcomic called RPG World, and on his website he had a ton of tutorials about, here's how I do comics, and here's how blue line printing works, and here's how to make a template. I actually, super learned a lot from him, so thanks, dude. But, yeah, I just went online and learned how to use Photoshop and learned how to make some comics, and have pretty much been doing that ever since.
Obviously you've been doing this from a pretty early age, but when did you know and decide that this is what you wanted to make a career out of?
Probably after college. Because comics is a very competitive field, and it's very labor intensive, and basically I thought that it would be something I'd do for fun, because it was a job that was really hard to get, and I assumed that I wouldn't, do that. So after, I went to art school, I went to finger painting college, and I assumed I'd, work as an illustrator, and maybe find a job in, a studio, and do some work in animation, maybe. And then I kind of accidentally got my first coloring job. I was at an editor's day at SCAD, and I met Daphne Pleben, and she liked my very mediocre concept portfolio and was like, hey, do you want to color some comics? And I said, yeah, I guess, and expecting never to hear from her again. And then she hit me back a couple months later with test pages for Goldie Vance, which actually just wrapped and is now getting a movie deal, and I'm very proud of it.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, that was my first job, and they liked working with me, and they brought me onto Pink Ranger, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Kids, what you do is accidentally get the job and then do it, and then you're done.
So, you just kind of fell into an opportunity, and it worked out better than you could have thought.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually how it goes. I was in, a state of disappointment because I hadn't really gotten any of the work that I was trying to get. So it just, when karma closes one door, it opens a window.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, we're gonna stop and hear a word from our sponsors from Tricon real quick.
Where is Odle at, man?
I don't know, man. He's always talking about how he needs to be out of here by a certain time. We make accommodations.
It's already 7:30.
I know.
Whoa! Guys, we had such a blast.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Did you just come out of the portal?
Yeah, I think we're skipping over that fact.
Oh, there's no time for that right now.
That was uncalled for.
Guys, Tricon.
Oh, okay. What is that? Where
Is that
where
a Comic-Con?
It is the Tri-State Comic Book Convention, June 2nd, Huntington, West Virginia, Big Sandy Superstore Arena.
Okay, well, these comic book conventions are always money pits, man. Can we really afford that?
No. This one is only $10 for admission. Kids under 10, get in free.
Wow.
Yeah.
But is it, okay, that cheap? It's got to be just boxes of comics as far as the eye can see. Nothing really worth seeing.
No. We've got vendors, we've got artists, we've got some pretty stellar media guests.
Whoa.
There's going to be a cosplay contest. The winner just...
Who was it?
You got to be there to find out.
Well, let's get our tickets right now, then.
Come on, guys. Let's jump in the time warp.
All right, we're back. So, Sarah, you've been working in the industry for a little while now. Can you tell us a bit about the comics and the different projects that you've worked on?
I've done a couple of one-shots, and I've been, on regular series. I've done, some of the smaller things I've done. I did an issue of Invader Zim with Sarah Grayley, which is excellent, probably one of my favorite things that I did last year. That is a super fun franchise to just hang out in, especially because, most of us liked it. We went kind of nuts for it when we were kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That issue is actually excellent because it's the only time I've seen, a Gur-centric story where I don't want to just put him in a box and ship it to Alaska. It's super cute. I'm biased, but I would definitely pick that one up. I've been doing in terms of longer term stuff. I just wrapped up the second book for Zodiac Star Force. It's called Zodiac Star Force: Cries of the Fire Prince, with Kevin Panetta and Polina Ganesha. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. I love you both. And that's pretty excellent. That's a magical girl, a kind of a grim magical girl story with some fun sci-fi elements, and it's very glittery and also kind of dark in a fun way. I've really been enjoying working on that. What else? We just had the graphic novel for Brave Chef Brianna come out, and that's excellent. It's a short. We only got about 4 issues out of it, but it was a really nice short series. It's I did that one. It's written by Sam Sykes and drawn by Selena Espiritu. And it's kind of a departure from her normal style, which is she does a lot of super beautiful, fantasy, handsome men standing around and looking at stuff. And for this, she did this really goofy, round, cute story about basically it's this girl who is the youngest in her family. She has 13 brothers, and their father is he has a cooking empire, And he's like, you all have to go out and start restaurants, and whoever does the best in their restaurant gets to inherit the whole empire. And they all take the fun cities. So she ends up going to a city that is inhabited like strictly by monsters, and like sets up a shop and invests in the space and in the equipment, and then realizes that like in Monster City it's illegal to like serve human food. So that goes about as well as you might expect it to.
Okay.
That book has like, yeah, it has a special place in my heart. Beyond that, I've been doing some stuff on Star Wars and Star Trek, and I've been coloring a lot of Rick and Morty lately, which is super fun. Like, cannot overstate how much fun that book is and how great that team is. Like, things switch around a lot, but I've mostly been coloring for Mark Ellerby, and Cal Starks and Teenie Howard have been writing the books. It's superb. Like, I am a huge fan of Rick and Morty. I know that's like an unpopular opinion, and it's like a little franchise that most people haven't really heard of. You know, it doesn't really get a lot of media exposure, but
I think maybe there's a handful of people that might actually know what that is.
yeah, and if you do, I think, you know, y'all should come and see me, and we can have a chat about it. There's a man, I have it on good authority. There's a man that turns into a pickle at one point, and that is just delightful. It's just, you know, tickled pink about that, I tell you what.
You also have a project that you've been doing everything on. It's your own story, Cinder Song, right?
Yeah, I'm publishing that one as a webcomic. It's been pretty fun.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that and tell everyone where they can find that to read it?
Sure thing. Well, it's like a fantasy friendship adventure, full color. It usually updates twice a week, but right now we've cut back to one because the con season has been very busy. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a story about like outsiders and, you know, the found family, and they come together and they really try to figure out what they owe themselves and each other, and just like, and then they kill a lot of people in the woods with swords and magic. And if you want to read that, it's being published by Hiveworks right now. It's at cindersong.com, and you can look at it with your eyeballs for no money, or you can pick up a copy of the first chapter in book form from me for a small, reasonable amount of money. It's up to you.
I'm sure they'd be able to find that at your booth at Tricon, right?
I expect so.
All right. I just got one more quick question for you. Through all of the characters that you've worked on over the years, what are some that you haven't had a chance to work on that you would really enjoy?
I would really like to do maybe like some of those DC Kids lines, like the Teen Titans Go comics are like, say what you want about that cartoon, like those comics have been coming out really good. Like I'd like to do maybe like, I could do a Nightwing comic for sure. Yo, DC, put me on Nightwing. I'll make it pink. I mean, I promise I won't. One of those things is true.
Hey, as a huge fan of Dick Grayson, I would be all for that. Not everything has to be dark and gritty. You know, he's one of DC's most lighthearted characters.
Yeah,
so.
he's definitely a fan. I just really like the storylines. Is what I like, the part that I do.
Well, I think for the most part that brings an end to my questions. Is there anything that you would like to bring up and discuss today?
I hope to see y'all at Tricon.
Where can everyone find you, like social media, website, like where they could purchase your works or anything like that?
Twitter and Tumblr, and a little bit on Instagram if you want to see some pictures of like orange juice and stuff. You can find me at Worst Wizard, one word, on all those outlets.
Don't forget, everyone, she is going to be at Tricon on June 2nd, Huntington, West Virginia, at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena. Make sure you get your tickets now. They're $10 a piece, and kids under 10 get in free. And I think that brings us to our close today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We did it.